Buenos nachos, amigos. I'm coming in soft and slow for you guys. This is Record Breakers. I'm PETEY Rave, your man with no plan. Here with me, as always, is my team, my squad. We got Patrick.
Hello.
We've got Brett.
To the windows.
And we've got Drew.
I was going to say squad goals, but now I have to say to the wall, so I don't really know what to do with myself.
Don't know what to do with my hands. I never know what to do with my hands. But we're here talking about music, Record Breakers, doing the thing, doing it real good. The provider of the music this week is none other than Brett. Brett, what do you got for us this week?
Well, we're bringing probably the pinnacle of music, the top most musically diverse and highest quality music that has ever been put into recorded forms. We're doing Buckner and Garcia's Pac-Man Fever. Mm-hmm. But because we did bad homework on my part, and I did the Record Breakers the decision to not give a shit, we were listening to the re-recording that you can actually easily find. So
yes,
prepare for us to wax nostalgia about an album that has been Def Lepparded.
Yes. This is, I guess, the 1999 re-recording. It was released commercially through KTEL.
The re-releasing people.
Yes. But yeah, Pac-Man Fever. Still the same mood, still the same, kind of ostensibly the same songs. Still Buckner and Garcia. Buckner and the late Garcia. Let's see. Patrick, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
I had heard Pac-Man Fever at some point in my life, but could not full on remember it. And I knew it was an album of songs about arcade games, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what were your expectations coming into this album?
They're your neighbors, right? Yeah, tell me you know Buckner by he's your neighbor down the street.
Yeah, he frequents the Best Buy I work at. No. They are an Akron group, so I may have heard them from around the way. The weird thing was that with this, I'm not usually a novelty song guy, so not really my thing, the Buckner and Garcia. But when I heard we were doing an album called Pac-Man Fever, my first thought was being very surprised, because I thought that was a one-off single. I didn't realize it was an entire album, that each song was a concept song about an arcade game, which is what I found out.
Yes. Yes. Brett, tell us a little bit about Pac-Man Fever, the album.
I mean, I don't know when I first heard this album. Like, I spent a lot of time as a kid staying up on Sundays and, listening to the finest radio program in history, Dr. Demento, and his program. And so I always had a soft spot for the novelty and sillier styles of music. Buckner and Garcia did something that is absolutely it is bullshit schlock from the absolute premise, but they did it in the most effective way, and in a way better fashion than they had to. The music is way better than it should be. The songs sound much like music of the era. Lots of synths, some synth drums. It's from the era of big synth. They've also got some Hall & Oates-esque harmonies. Where they also have some nice clap tracks going on to hold the beat. They even have a song with a false ending. It's very dumb as shit, but it's fantastic. I don't know if dumb as shit is something that let me tag my music as, but no, this is ridiculous music that is either the worst thing ever or the pinnacle of music. And I like to think it's the top of music's, hierarchy. It's the shit diggity. Number one, the Duke of New York.
Yes. Patrick, how would you describe this album musically?
It sounds like 8 very long radio jingles to me. It has that there's a radio jingle quality to the music. If that, I don't know if that makes sense to anyone but me, but they all sound like the things you hear on a small town, independently run, not yet owned by Clear Channel radio station that some local business paid to have written about their business by some, somebody. It has that quality to it throughout. And they're about arcade games. And that's about it.
To add a note to that, they did write songs specifically for Waffle House's jukeboxes for a while. So they did something very similar to what you said.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yes.
They achieved the goal.
Yes, they achieved the goal. They went after it and they achieved it. Drew, what would be the themes elements that caught your attention about this album?
Well, first off, let's make it clear. This song is a grilled cheese sandwich where you replace the bread with 2 wheels of Wisconsin cheddar. That is how cheesy this album is from beginning to end. Let's not play around with it. It is what it is. But, there are a lot of people nowadays that like themselves some chiptune music. Your Anamanaguchis, your big giant circles. They make the beeps and the boops from the video games. They use those as notes, and they use it as an instrument. I would like to think that this little band from Akron might have had a little bit of play in that, because they use the beeps and the boops from an arcade game, but they literally just rip out the sound effect and just put it in the music, and then put music around it, and make it somehow fit in, and then write a song about specifically that video game that they're using. I think that's pretty freaking awesome. I don't know if it's the Homer in me that is thinking that, but it is something that's kind of cool. And they do it really well. And they hit that bone. If you like old school video games, if you like old school arcade games, hearing certain sounds, and I will get into 2 of the ones that hit me very hard when we go on the tracks, but hearing certain sounds from these like old school games is just cool. And then you hear a guy singing about that game that you liked and putting words and thoughts about the game that you liked to it, because God knows there wasn't much story in those old arcade games.
No.
They were made to eat quarters, and that's cool. And like Brett said,
Pinnacle of music.
Composition wise, these guys are like, I would not say pinnacle of music. I'm not going to put this on right in between
Beethoven and
it's
the Beatles.
My thing with it, I would be listening to like Bach, and then I would go into some jazzy stuff like some Jocko, and then this record, and then 2112. No, that's not gonna happen. But I will say that like this album is cheese as cheese gets, and sometimes you just gotta smile.
Yes.
I believe I was the one that brought on the Aquabats. I like a cheesy album every now and again.
Party.
And Ninja Sex Party. And if you guys wouldn't shit on it, I would have brought Star Bomb too. Speaking of video games. But I like goofy, dumb as shit music too. And this hits that smile a minute from me. So I'm cool with that.
Yes. Brett, what would be some of the key tracks to zero in on?
Well, first off, would that translate to 60 smiles per hour? Because that's a thought that I'd like to have. Also, I would like to, yes, it's Smales. But no, I would like to think of somebody doing chiptunes where they take an entire JAMA board out of an arcade machine and plug it into a JAMA gun. And yeah, I would like to see somebody try and do that with,
awesome.
That would, well, I would like to see somebody like physically like carry around this giant thing into live performances, things that like have batteries that are about ready to die and they'll lose all of their sound of everything. But no, let's start off with Pac-Man Fever, the titular hit that made it to number 9 on the Billboard's Hot 100. and for good reason. It's Pac-Man Fever, probably one of the top 10 kinds of fever that you can have. There's other musical fevers that are
scratch.
and disco.
Fever.
And there's other fevers that come and go, but Pac-Man Fever is one. That's right. I think Pac-Man Fever, while it's the most successful song that these guys put together, not the best. It very much has a hook, and instead of telling the story of Pac-Man, it tells the story of somebody who's got a pocket full of quarters and exactly what they're going to do with those. There's no questions left unanswered by the end. And
they posed questions.
Yes, I mean there's questions asked and answered.
Yes.
Whereas you get a different taste from Froggy's Lament, where it starts off with "Pluck Your Magic Twanger, Froggy," and you're like, "What? Huh?" Let me Google that, and you're like, "Oh, that's not even Frogger."
Yes.
But getting a song that has novelty vocals, that sweet muted single note of guitar on top of both synths and piano, it's a recipe for a pretty okay song. It's got a simple beat, stupid Frogger lyrics, and the manner in which they are sung, it really makes a nice sweet pie that makes this song stand out. But the song that stands out more than all, with the best of this album has to offer, in my opinion, is "Do the Donkey Kong." That is one hell of a song. There's something magical about how this song, you could have swapped the lyrics out, and it could have been any other 80s B-side track.
Yes.
It's only made better by having some Donkey Kong stuff. This is a master class in writing an 80s song, and it has a great twist near the second half of the song. The vocals start getting real gravelly, and then go crazy man yelly about Donkey Kong. That's something that's worth noting. The song is about Donkey Kong. There's a man who yells about doing it. It goes from silly to batshit crazy, and it has the most poorly executed but best fake out fade out. Like oh, the song's gonna end. Let's slide those faders down. We were off. First take is good enough. We'll just put that on the album. Let's not, this is already a remake of an album. Let's just make it go in the first try. And I love this song so much that I am going to have to make it now, for now in the foreseeable future, my Touch Tunes jukebox troll song. Where when I'm at a bar, if I'm with you and there's a Touch Tunes and my phone is handy, I am loading up some Buckner and Garcia, and everybody's going to be like, it's a song that'll take somebody a little bit of like, wait, what is this? This is a song about Donkey Kong. What the hell? It's a shame that it did not make hit status like Pac-Man Fever, because I would like to see the dance that they came up with for doing the Donkey Kong, so that I can do it every day.
Yes. Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
I'm gonna go with Froggy's Lament, because it is just kind of an awful Warren Zevon ripoff. And it has the line "Pluck your magic twanger, Froggy," which I think might be the dirtiest thing ever said in a song. That includes every Two Live Crew record, everything Wasp ever wrote. I don't know what it means, but it scares the fuck out of me, and I'm terrified of it. Where was the PMRC trying to get "Pluck your magic twanger, Froggy" banned from the world? God damn it,
from a
Tipper Gore.
They were worried about CDs. This was an 8-track
God damn it,
album.
Tipper Gore.
Pluck Your Magic Twanger, Froggy was actually a reference to a children's TV show. Let that sink in.
Yes.
That sounds even more terrifying. And then because so this is a Ode to a Centipede. Sounds like the theme song to a cable access MacGyver ripoff. That's the only way to describe it.
It's like the opening to a Trauma movie. That yeah, it's that. Yeah.
And there's these like Like there's this guy talking about coming to get the centipede, and it's the creepiest, rapiest shit ever. It's fucking terrifying. Whatever drugs they had when they wrote this record were the best drugs or the worst drugs, maybe both. But Jesus fucking Christ. This album is terrifying.
It's Akron. Boy.
That drug was called
It was called the Midwest.
marketing on other people's intellectual properties and merchandising.
Merchandising. It's called you have to make a whole album of this. Really? All right.
Right.
Let's fucking do this craziness. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
I love them making an album out of this.
Yes.
I'm going to mention that two that's already been mentioned, but I don't care because they were by far my two favorites. And the first one is the title track, Pac-Man Fever. This one got big for good reason. Pac-Man was huge. Those Waka Wakas in the opening, it gets you right in there. You love this thing, come listen to this thing. And, like, it can be a theme for, like, kids going to the arcade and spending all of their allowance and all of their time in an arcade drinking sodas and playing video games for hours. And that's awesome. Like, the fact that that exists as a thing, I think is really cool. And I think we all hit on it. Or me and Brett hit on it. Because I was too busy trying to imagine the dance I could do so that I could be the cool guy that did Donkey Kong in it. And I couldn't come up with one before Swagger ended. I loved Do the Donkey Kong. It having the smart thing, or the easy thing to do, I think, would be to pepper things in the middle, but starting with just the ominous music from Donkey Kong rising up the scaffolds with Pauline in his arm. That's awesome. Good choice, because it's automatically like that, and then like you hear like the hammer sound from like Mario swinging the mallet and shit like throughout the song. It's cool. Making the ape the dance move, because like it was the early 80s, like you had to have like a dance or whatever, like dancing was the thing, right? So like making that it. The keyboard in the middle was surprising and so much fun in that song. And that's, the whole album was just fun like that. But those two for me like definitely stood out above the rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just some great tracks. There's also a lamenting track about being lost in space, about asteroids, like, you know, it's like being so far away from home, you know, and similarly the Defender, like, you know, it just all the way they could tell the story of these ridiculous, you know, just simple games is just so much fun. But let's bring it back around the horn and have some conclusive thoughts. Patrick, what would be your conclusive thoughts on the album?
I feel like this is Brett's revenge for Glassjaw. Just long delayed for me.
Yeah, but this is good.
Yes, agreed.
I'm not big on early arcade games. I really got into like the games that I like have that kind of nostalgia for are 8-bit Nintendo stuff. Hence, probably why I like that style of chiptunes. My opinion's always wrong. This has been established many times. I don't have any like emotional connection to the source material to get it from that. And the music is, like I said, it's so like out of touch furniture store commercial on a small town radio station that I just can't do it. I like it. I can listen to like a radio jingle is 30 seconds for a reason. Like if it goes on any longer, you will kill yourself, but it's memorable for 30 seconds. And this is just, I had a hard time listening to this more than once.
Shout out to 1-800-411-PAIN, their latest jingle. Drew, what would be your conclusive thoughts on the album?
What about J.G. Wentworth? 877 cash.
It's my money. I want it now.
I want it now. Thank you for understanding where I'm coming from. I guess I come from a different perspective. I have listened to more Rhett and Link specific jingles than I care to admit. I listened to them cover All Night Long and had it going on in the background for like 12 hours because they did that karaoke thing. Like I am okay with the jingle, and the jingleness of it, and sort of the cheesy, like we're just going to be self-referential because like there's a segment that will like the goofy self-referential nature of it, and I dug that. Call it Homerism, rose tinted glasses, whatever you want. I don't care. I'm proud that Brett brought in 2 back-to-back Akron bands, and very much different reasons of why I love music. They are on different ends of the why I love to listen to music spectrum. This and Devo, but I'm very glad they both hail from my backyard. It is something that if you haven't listened to it, it will put a smile on your face, guaranteed.
You'll like the way it looks. I guarantee.
Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a jingle though.
Okay, that's fair enough. But it feels musical. Yeah, back to Brett. Brett, what would be your conclusive thoughts on the album?
While Buckner and Garcia aren't bringing the most important message to music, they have a special place in music as a whole. Pac-Man Fever and the self-seriousness about it, it's an album that encompasses a lifestyle, the lifestyle's joys, the ridiculousness of that lifestyle, the merchandising potential of other people's IPs and arcade machines. All of these things, but it made this a pretty good choice. Like they did better than a lot of people. They went out to do something. They did it. They made an album. Damn it! And I argue that we've listened to much worse albums on this podcast, and probably will in the future. This is a great listener. Like you can sit down and listen to this and not be bummed out. You could be like, this is some really, really outdated, like, yeah, the nobody would make this album today, and for a good reason. It's just a magical thing that this was something that came out and had some success. I think if one person listens to this podcast, goes out, finds Pac-Man Fever, and enjoys it, I have done my record breakers the job.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good way to kind of wrap it up. Those are our thoughts on Pac-Man Fever. Now we get to the main event, the final level of this quest. We get to our haiku reviews. Let's see how this works out. I'll start with you, Patrick. Patrick, what is your haiku?
Radio jingles are short for a good reason. This is terrible.
Drew, what is your haiku?
Lights and boops and beeps, quarters in my pocket, and nowhere left to go.
Brought the feels.
I brought the feel. God damn it! I want arcades back.
They're there. You just have to.
You have to go to amusement parks,
or you have to go to some like restaurant arcade.
Or you have to go to Austin and go to pinballs.
Or go to Chicago to the Galloping Ghost.
I've been there. It's pretty cool.
You know,
I want them to be in every shopping mall in America.
That's true. All right, my haiku. A lot of fun tracks, deeply steeped in novelty. Original nerdcore. Brett, what is your haiku?
Better than it should. This would never happen now. The greatest album.
Yes. Yes. The greatest album. Those are our thoughts on Pac-Man Fever. Go check it out on our Spotify playlist. It will be sitting there waiting for you to listen if you haven't already. You can listen to that.
You done fucked up.
You can also listen to next week's album, and that will be provided by Drew. Drew, what do you got for us next week?
I brought a band that was very much inspired by the band I'm bringing next week. On one of our episodes of pre-show, the show, you might hear me In fact, I think it's part of a show. Maybe might hear me talk trash about Philadelphia, but I'm bringing Philadelphia's own in Hall & Oates. Their album, Private Eyes.
I look forward to that discussion and to putting that in my ear holes because that's going to be fun. But that is next week, and this is this week. And of course, you can find us all over the internet. Patrick is at the Swagger. Brett is at HIBBARD, HIBBITYBIBBARD. Drew is at XLuciferX. I'm at PD Rave. The show's at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com. Rebelli.net for this and other shows. YouTube.com/RebelliTV. iTunes, Stitcher, all the places. Like, subscribe, share. Until next time. Hasta los huevos.
Toodaloo. They did a song about Pogs. Buckner and Garcia did a song about Pogs, everybody.
What? No way.
Mm-hmm.